Okay, so next on the list, we have privilege of the floor. We have 5 people signed up, I believe, for to address the sanctuary, Second Amendment sanctuary laws. Before we get into that, I have a couple comments that I would like to make. The task force met this afternoon, and we reviewed other resolutions that are out there. Virginia, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Arizona, Georgia, and one that's being presented as lead tonight in Jefferson County. So we came up with some language that we think is appropriate. It's going to take our attorney a week or so to put that together. When we get that together, I'm going to speak to who I believe are your leaders, Larry and Pat, and invite them in to have a discussion with the task force to see if what we have come up with they feel is appropriate and they're good with it. At that point, we will submit it to the committee meetings on, I believe it's March 18th. And so the rest of the legislators who are not involved in this process to this date can look at it, understand it, and get a handle on it. If they're okay with it, it will move forward and it will be voted on at the April meeting. So the other thing I would like to mention is, keep in mind this is not the first time that this board has worked on this issue or addressed this issue. I had Joan go back. This will be the 5th time that we have addressed this problem. There were 2 resolutions in 2013 that, I don't know why it does that, but there were 2 resolutions in 2013, and then again last year there were 2 resolutions opposing the SAFE Act that this board passed. So this will be the 5th time. We have, the problem here is on a state level, and I think Virginia, if you take a look at Virginia, they have the same problem that New York State has. All 3 branches of the executive branches are of the same party. This is a voting problem that needs to be addressed by everyone that would like to see some changes here. So if you really want to fix this thing, the next time your state representatives are up for election, you need to get out and vote.
We have
so with that, we can start on the process of speakers. First one up will be Patrick Morris. If you'd come up and state your name for the record, please.
Patrick Morris, P-A-T-R-I-C-K-M-O-R-S-E, Town of New Bremen. Larry, thanks for that update. One question on that. Which committee is this going to be assigned to when it hits committee?
This will be the General Services Committee.
So that's the first one. That's the 1 o'clock.
We may share that with General Services and Finance and Rules.
Okay, so that's the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clock. Okay. Just trying to plan our life out there. I got to modify my speech because of what was just said, obviously. We appreciate that you guys are paying attention. We know you're paying attention. We get a little hot under the collar. We know that. About the previous resolutions, we're very well aware of those. None of them had any teeth whatsoever. The second they were passed, it was pass them and forget them. We want something that is long lasting, that the county's on the hook 1 minute after you pass it. Okay, we just don't want another letter sent to the governor. As far as going against Albany, some of us have tirelessly went against Albany over and over and over again. The governor and I no longer exchange Christmas cards, okay? It's just, we're fed up, we're tired, we get outvoted, and we try everything we can, and you're our last line of defense, period, end of story. I know the rule book is slanted towards Albany. They wrote it to give them all the power, but it's time that we just throw the rule book back at them. I saw a really good presentation from JCC half an hour ago, and one of the statistics that stuck out there was 68% of the people in this county, all parties combined, were very much pro Second Amendment. There was only one of those 21 items that was higher, and that was support for agriculture. All the rest were way below it. So, and I'm sure you all noticed that as well, because we certainly did. And I might be redundant because I know you guys just talked a little bit a while, but what I want to clarify is a whole bunch of misconceptions about what we are asking. And I know you've all read it, so maybe it's not so much to you, but for the press. We are talking about getting rid of some laws that infringe upon the rights of law-abiding citizens. We are not saying that felons can have guns. We are not saying that people using a firearm in the commission of another crime won't be arrested by the sheriff's department and the gun charge thrown on top of it. We are not saying that people can just go out and buy AR-15s and run around with them, because the state police can still arrest them. What we're saying is county resources won't do that if otherwise they're not breaking any laws. Yes, the judge, the county clerk, the sheriff can still do the pistol permit process, because we need those pistol permits outside of Lewis County. What we're just asking you is to stop using resources to go against law-abiding citizens. In addition, we're vehemently opposed to the red flag law that is an affront to a key pillar of American justice, innocent until proven guilty. Okay? There's tragic events that happened in Rome. You're probably all familiar with that, with the red flag law, and the wrong person lost their life because of it. On a second, somewhat related topic, about 3 years ago, it was taking 4 months to get a pistol permit in Lewis County. 4 months. Now the longest I've heard is 22 months. I have had a meeting with Judge King, the previous county clerk, the sheriff, the undersheriff. Everybody agrees. Even the sheriff agrees. The holdup is at the sheriff's office. And the holdup is because of a lack of manpower. We used to have a dedicated person that all they did was pistol permits. But because of some budgetary constraints a few years ago, that dedicated person was taken away. Who does it now? Investigators. And investigators have to stop a child abuse case to work on a pistol permit. It's not fair to the victim of that crime, and it's not fair to us taxpayers waiting 22 months to get a pistol permit. I mean, if there's an infringement on a Second Amendment right, that's it. That is not common sense. Another problem is we only have 2 deputies on at a time for this county. I challenge anyone to get in their car to Osceola and drive to Harrisville and tell me how long it takes you to do it. It's an hour and a half. We have 2 patrolmen on duty with 1 state trooper as a backup. That's it. Period. And we shouldn't even be talking about multi-million-dollar social services spends until we fully fund, like the Bonadil audit said, that we need a bigger road patrol. We need 5 or 6 more guys there. In closing, and I'll probably tamp this down a little bit, but we've waited patiently now for a month, and y'all had a heads up a couple weeks before that. But let me give you some facts. The SAFE Act, a never-before-seen 54-page document, was presented to the New York Senate at 11:01 p.m. By 11:27 p.m., it had passed that 63-person body. The Assembly went to bed. They passed it at 9 o'clock the next morning, and the governor signed it at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And all but 2 items of that took effect immediately. So if they can get a couple hundred people together and pass a law in 18 hours, we really need this board to move. I understand you're part-time. I understand y'all have jobs, but I'm very happy that the task force did meet. I'm very much looking forward to working with you on that. But the most important thing is we don't want another sorry-gram to the governor. There's got to be some teeth in this. With that, I thank you.
Next, Bo Bailey.
Name's Bo Bailey. I am a member, citizen of Village of Lyons Falls, Town of Lionsdale, District 9. I was not going to speak tonight, but it's kind of pressured into it. And as the last couple of days have gone by, I've become concerned. Concerned because 28 days ago, we presented a petition to adopt the Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance, along with signed support from nearly 20% of the voters of this county. all of those signatures gathered in less than 3 weeks. And truth be told, the support is more than 3,000. Since then, this matter seems to be getting brushed off as unimportant, bogged down, receiving very little attention. I understand that the task force met today, but today is 28 days after being submitted. Attacks on fundamental rights of the people deserve immediate, focused attention. I'm not sure that you all feel the severity of this issue. One of you said that when the board discussed and passed a $52 million county budget, only 5 or 6 people showed up, but threatened to take away their gun rights and they'll come out in droves. That language sounds very condescending to me. And I think that the speaker missed the point altogether. We come out in droves over the Second Amendment because history shows that threats to fundamental rights of the people should be far more alarming than how our money is being spent. Many in this county don't have a lot to give, so we carry on the best that we can. But what many of us do have is our heritage and our traditions. And like several of you on this board, we have hopes of passing those on to the generations that follow us. But with current and pending state legislation regarding gun control, we may never get that opportunity. We do not have a gun problem in this county. We have, as Mr. Dietrich pointed out, an overregulation problem in this county. We have an underrepresentation problem in this county. The power of the people in this state is bleeding. Representation by local governments like yourselves is more important now than it ever has been before. In 1790, there were less than 4 million people in our country, period. New York State had less than 350,000 people at that time. Today, our state has around 20 million people, 5 times the national population in 1790. Back then, state governments were much more representational of their citizens. Population growth alone has had a major impact on representation at the state level. You undoubtedly have heard recent statements by Andrew Cuomo that a significant group of New York constituents are not welcome here. I repeat that. A significant group of New York constituents are not welcome here because we, yes I say we because I include myself in that group, do not have the same ideals and morals that align with his agenda. Please tell me, how is that representing the people of this state? I ask you, legislators, please consider the following question very carefully and very honestly. Why did you put your name on the ballot to become a county legislator? Was it to give yourself some personal advantage? Was it so that you could play a pawn for the state governor? Or was it so that you could stand up and be a voice for the citizens and the welfare of this county? Your role as a legislator includes making some tough, key decisions on how this county operates. And there are not many people around here who want to be in your shoes. Many people in this area brush off local politics with disinterest. Disinterest thrives when someone is uninspired. A leader should inspire his or her constituents. If you want 300 plus people to show up at every monthly meeting and take more interest in our county, try making a move that inspires us. Bring the Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance to a vote. If you stand for us, as we elected you to do, we will stand with you. We will not back down. If you will not stand with us, we will find someone who will. We are not afraid of King Cuomo, and you shouldn't be either. Let's protect the people of this county and band together with other counties doing the same thing to stand up to the ridiculous tyranny that is coming out of Albany and out of New York City. We want the ordinance voted upon as written. All or nothing. Bring the say-so ordinance to a vote now. Thank you.
Take the vote. Tracy Hand.
My name is Tracy Hand, lived in Port Lyden most of my life. We've come here today to further encourage you, our representatives, to pass the say-so ordinance with all its teeth. I know some of you have concerns that the governor may retaliate and withhold some state funding. Forgive me, I'd like to remind everyone here why this elected body of our local government exists. And who could say it better than our founding fathers, who cited their reason for establishing this great government in the Declaration of Independence. Some of it's going to sound familiar. I memorized a couple words in school. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. My friends, you are our representatives. You are our government. Your job, if you pardon me for saying so, is to secure our rights, to secure our freedoms, not to secure our safety, and not to secure state funding. I heard one of you state that we don't show up for meetings where you allocate $52 million budgets, but mess with our guns and we show up in droves. This should show you how important this is to our community. Our state government is making bad laws for cities on a state level. They don't know us, what we need, or who we are. We elected you because you are us. We trust you. Our county runs fairly well. We just watched a presentation earlier that the bottom line is our county runs pretty good. You have our interests at heart. Even in this Second Amendment matter, I believe you want what's best for us, your constituency. But we have stood by as long as we can while the cities vote repeatedly to infringe on our rights. Now we redress our grievances. The state of New York has gone too far. They have for years chipped away at our freedoms, from guns to speech to what bags we can use for our groceries and trash. They have attacked our right to due process, the 5th and 14th Amendments, with red flag laws. They have chipped at our Second Amendment freedoms as to make it almost too dangerous to exercise the Second Amendment. Without legislation, the State Department of Financial Services bullied their way to ousting insurance programs in an attempt to silence the First Amendment rights of groups speaking out for our Second Amendment rights. Programs that could keep someone acting in self-defense from losing everything in legal fees just to stay out of prison for exercising a God-given, constitutionally protected right of self-defense. Friends, we're not asking you to violate your oaths of office. We're not asking you to ignore any legal laws. The case of Norton v. Shelby County, 118 U.S. 425, found this. I quote, "An unconstitutional act is not a law. It confers no rights. It imposes no duties. It affords no protection. It creates no office. It is in legal contemplation as inoperative as though it had never been passed." These laws passed by this state have far surpassed infringement. They are cutting deeply into our freedoms as secured by the Second Amendment of the United States Bill of Rights, which states that this right shall not be infringed, and New York Civil Law, Article 2, Section 4, which states the right to keep and bear arms cannot be infringed. I don't know how they got away with what they've gotten away with. Cannot, in our own law, state law. Under the legal precedent of Norton-based Shelby County, any law that violates the Constitution is not a law at all. Therefore, you are not breaking your oaths by enforcing the say-so. Justice Sheriff Carpinelli is not breaking his oath to uphold the laws of the state when those laws are clearly unconstitutional. I'll close with this. The Supreme Court of the United States is now being filled with originalist and literalist justices. They take what the writers meant and they take what the writers said, as said. We know that if this ever comes up to the Supreme Court, we will be found righteous. The only question is, will you still hold these seats when that righteousness is revealed by the courts? I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Monica Reed.
My name is Monica Reed, M-O-N-I-C-A-R-E-E-D, town of Krogan. Like I said, my name is Monica, and I am 18 years old. For the past 5 years, I have been a competitive trap shooter. I got started at the high school level, and since then I have worked my tail off and have been fortunate enough to compete at the state, regional, and national level. I have shot alongside some of the very best student athletes in the nation. My hard work and passion through shooting shotguns has taken me all the way to Nebraska, where this fall I will continue my sport on the collegiate level. I can tell you with every ounce of certainty that I would not be the person I am today without the shooting sports. Guns are a part of my life, and they will continue to be so. Being around guns and shooting is like walking to me. It is natural and regular. Guns are tools, and they are no different from knives and screwdrivers. Sure, you can hurt anybody with a tool, but they can be used for a lot of good things too. I myself might argue I might injure myself on a lot of different things, like knives and wooden stairs and even gas caps, but I've never once been hit by a shotgun. Through trap shooting, I have been lucky enough to travel to several states and compete in national tournaments alongside some very hardworking, talented athletes of all colors, shapes, and sizes. The shooting sport has an extremely unique element that virtually no other sport has. Men and women from 12 to 92 are able to come together and enjoy the sport. Most special people who even have physical disabilities or have broken bones are able to compete on a level playing field. Shooting sports have an amazing way to connect people. I've made connections with dozens of people through the shooting community. Despite what some of you would like to believe, they are not all old, white, camo-wearing conspiracists. Despite this, oftentimes I am one of the few or the only female at a gun club or a shooting event. Despite this, never once have I felt singled out or discriminated against as a lady shooter. I've met some pretty amazing kids my age too, all connected to the safest high school sport in America. You heard me right. Thousands of teenagers using guns every year and not one single injury. Surprising? Not to me or anyone else with shooting experience. Safety is the #1 priority for any shooting event. If you have never been able to witness hundreds of teenagers safely using guns in a sporting event, I encourage each and every one of you to do so and see for yourselves. I'm also here to tell you, do not believe the media when they say young conservatives do not exist. The fight for freedom and our rights will not die with the older generation. We are the future voters of America, and we will not settle for being ignored and told our beliefs do not matter. I would like to remind everyone here of a small history lesson. When something was wrong, morally and lawfully wrong, the people who stood up for it they did do it quietly. Frederick Douglass did not back down when he was called a liar for exposing the horrors of slavery. The suffragettes did not quiet down when politicians told them their votes didn't matter. We are not the silent minority. As citizens of Lewis County, we are coming here again to tell you we are fed up. We are the common people, the backbone of America, and we are tired of our rights being trampled on and our lifestyles mocked. I also come here to tell you not just how shooting competitively has changed my life. I come here as a young woman. The following words that will come out of my mouth may make you uncomfortable, but they are important. 1 in 3 women will be victims of physical, sexual violence, and 1 in 5 women will be raped. 1 out of every 4 women will experience severe physical abuse from their intimate partner. In America alone, an estimated 1.2 million people are victims of human trafficking. 70% are women. They tell us to watch how you dress. They tell us to take martial arts classes. They say get a restraining order. An actual human trafficking organization advises their readers to, quote, be aware, avoid walking alone, use your phone, and don't trust too easily. When will they tell us to take our personal safety into our hands? When will they tell us that the best way to deter a rapist is a trained firearms owner, not a rape whistle? When will they tell us to take a firearms safety course and obtain a handgun license? Pro-gun is pro-women. I encourage you to look around this room as employees to the citizen of Lewis County and ask us what do we want. And I think the answer will be clear. We are tired of being called criminals. The fact of the matter is that the vast majority of gun control legislation introduced or passed is not meant to control deranged criminals. It's not. The laws at their core are flawed and will do absolutely nothing to protect us, only to restrict and infringe the rights of honest people. The honest men and women in this room and across the county say the Second Amendment is worth protecting. A guy named Thomas Jefferson once said, quote, eternal vigilance is the price of freedom. Well, here we are, being vigilant in the name of freedom, and I hope you understand we're pretty stubborn too. So as long as our rights are being attacked, we will remain vigilant.
Thank you, Monica. Next is Bill, and I'm sorry that I can't.
Wilmot.
Okay.
My name is Bill Wilmot. I don't have a big speech like everybody else. I didn't write down a lot. But the reason I'm here is you lose one right, you lose them all. All right, we know that. We've seen it through history for hundreds of years. All the way back to biblical times. You give up one freedom, you lose them all. All right, and I'm against the SAFE Act. I'm against red law. I am for gun control. I'm sorry. I do not think anybody needs a belt-fed 30 millimeter for hunting. But the reason I'm here tonight is to ask you to let Mike Carpinelli do his job. This is going to sound strange to you guys. What is his job? Nobody can remove him from office except us unless he commits a crime. The sheriff's job, which I was taught in college in constitutional law, is to protect our rights. Not the state constitution, the federal constitution. He's a federal officer, actually. I know everybody thinks, oh, he's elected countywide. He is, by these gentlemen, by you guys. He swore to uphold the Constitution of the state. But above all, he swore to uphold the Constitution of this land. You know, you guys sit here and like, well, we're not going to fund it. Mike was here last time and told you. He doesn't stand up for it. I see him in Albany, but I don't see you. You know, he's an elected official like you are. He goes down to Albany and yells, screams, hollers. When have you guys? No offense, I mean, maybe you've been there. Maybe you got to work that day. I know I've had to take vacation days. But you look at it this way. I mean, you go right through the Constitution, and everything the sheriff does is just to protect our due process, protect our constitutional rights. That's the main job of the sheriff. And you guys are sitting here like, well, he's got to follow the law. No, part of what you guys are doing with the sanctuary. It's giving him back his power that's granted in the Constitution to protect us, as you guys were elected, not to serve the state, not to serve the federal government, to serve us. It's not like we're asking for a lot. I mean, we're, how many thousands of people in Lewis County? Yeah, so how about in June, when they have the Second Amendment rally, take a vacation day. You know, I know many of you own businesses, farms, it's hard to get away. I know I do. I own my own business, I'm buying out another one. I lose money that day, but I'm more than willing. If we lose one freedom, we're going to lose them all. We've seen it. I mean, I could have wrote a big speech. I have a degree in law enforcement. I have a degree in constitutional law. I can cite cases left and right in Mayberry versus Madison, due process. It doesn't matter. Unless you're a county lawyer or like Mr. Young or somebody, you're not going to understand what I'm saying. What I am saying though is think about it. In the Constitution, the sheriff's job is to protect us. And you guys are telling them, no, we're not going to back you up if that's what you want to do. I'm asking you to back our sheriff and the people that elected you guys. Fight with us. Not just pass a resolution. Go to Albany. Go and complain. If you're against the SAFE Act, then don't go. I mean, if you're for the SAFE Act, don't go. But the ones that are against it, the ones that want us to have our constitutional rights, please go. That's all I'm asking you. And let Mike Carpinelli do his job and protect the people from overreach by the state government. He's a federal officer. Let him do his job. Don't force him to enforce the SAFE Act. Because right now you guys are forcing him. It's part of the thing. But now if you say, Mike, do your job as granted in the Constitution, I mean, and fight with him. Fight with us. You know, these guys are here taking time off from work. I know a couple of them own businesses. They could be out making money. And you want us at board meetings? I've been to a couple of them actually, a long time ago. And I didn't see anything getting done. Well, it was before you gentlemen were on the board. I mean, it was a while ago. Back when I first joined the Fair Board in Loudville. I was 17 going to board meetings. And I didn't see anything getting done. And I stopped coming. Inspire us, like he said. Fight with us, fight for us. You guys fought for JCC to come in. I love that idea. I had to drive an hour 5 days a week to college. You know? You're talking about daycare. Fight for it. We have hand in hand and stuff like that. Form a committee if you need to and have somebody call around to some of these different big organizations and get them in here. Offer them tax incentives. They'll fight for us on this first. Save all our rights, not just one. Thank you.
Okay. We will move on to presentation.